What's up guys, this is Vanilla. Not the flavor, but just the sweet. Now I'm pretty sure most of you just clicked on this video because of the title. Wait, maybe it was because of the thumbnail. Anyway, since you clicked on it, then I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the word hentai. And you probably already have your pants down. Put them back on! Where's your self-respect? Well, if you think that hentai is just jerking material, then I would totally disagree with you. There's more to hentai than meets the eye, and I will show you just that in my defense of hentai. Wow, I said hentai like 4 times. Now before anything else, let's define what hentai is. It'll be brief. No pun intended. It is a Japanese animation targeted for adults. It contains very mature content, including sexual intercourse. It can be an original work, an adaptation, or a parody of a series. It's anime for adults. And because of the frequent presentation of sexual intercourse, it's often become synonymous to pornography. Well, I digress. To begin with, let's enumerate the elements which we can find in hentai. It's actually a lot, so bear with me. No pun intended. There's plot, characters, setting, origin, and art. It's actually a lot, but I can't fit it all in, so you'll just have to get deeper into it. No pun intended. First, let's look at the plot. Now, most hentai have repetitive plot sequences, but not entirely the same plot. There's some series which have different stories per episode. This is because this kind of hentai is actually adapted from what we call visual novels, specifically eroge. Now, the way eroge works is pretty much the same as visual novels, only there's more emphasis on the sexual intercourse more than anything else. I cannot believe I'm saying that in front of a Based on the player's decisions, one will follow a route leading to a specific character and how the plot ends up, and solely through the choices we made through the game. Hentai adapted this style in a way that every route has its own episode. Let's take Tropical Kiss for example. Every episode targets a certain heroine, much like in the game. Also, each episode has its own genre. The first episode is romance, the second episode is comedy-ish, and the third episode is more dramatic. No different from series like Amagami and Photokano, where it dedicates episode per character. Speaking of characters, let's move on to the next element. Now this one is pretty simple. Characters in hentai are actual characters. Each character has their own personality, strengths, weakness, background, etc. Let's take for example, Emergence. It's an H-doujin about an innocent girl who gets herself into prostitution. In this manga, we see the transformation of the schoolgirl who simply wanted to have friends but ended up in the dark alleys. It was sad not just because she strayed to the wrong path, but because nobody was there to help her. Heck, I even cried the last chapter because I don't want to go into detail of it. Let's just say it didn't go well for the girl in the end. The worst part is, she never even got to experience the great wonders that the world had to offer. It was just so emotional that no sane person would jerk off to the last chapter. Anyway, it's because of this H-doujinshi that I realized that women shouldn't be treated the way that the girl was treated in this work. Let's just move on to the next element before I cry my eyes out. The settings in the hentai are very similar to anime or manga settings. The only difference is that in hentai, it can open up more to mature content more than it can in anime. The only restriction hentai has is censorship. Let's take the world of Kansen for example. If you're not familiar with the Kansen series, it's about a virus that breaks out all over the country, causing humans to be wild and horny. And the virus is spread through, well, you know. I like the third installment of Kansen because it shows us how that world came to be through biblical context and also philosophical context. There's a scene where one of the surviving characters introduced to us a verse in the Bible about the human race being corrupt before.
炎の餌食になった民は互いにいたわり合わぬ。右の者にかぶりついても飢え、左の者に食らいついても満ち足りず、互いになお食らい合う。
The verse she was saying was actually from Isaiah chapter 9 verse 19 to 20, a time where people in Zion were corrupt. What? The biblical reference in hentai? What? She then deduced that The infection was actually Judgment Day for mankind. From here we can see that she's comparing the virus to sin, in a way that it brings out the worst in mankind, throwing away every moral taught to them. Then another character shows up and states that it was salvation, that the infected are actually susceptible to lust, gluttony, anger, jealousy, basically the 7 deadly sins, and that the virus simply revealed the true nature of humans. It looked like it was man who caused the outbreak and eventually their demise. According to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, I can't really read it, it's French. Inquire no longer. Man is the author of evil. Behold him yourself. There exists no other evil in nature than what you either do or suffer. In the system of nature, I see an established order which is never disturbed. From this, we see how it is us humans who actually create evil. Nature had nothing to do with it because it does not interfere with the circle of life. Now the same can be said for Kansen. It was not the disease that made mankind wild. It was mankind itself that made itself wild. The apocalypse was simply made by us humans, by our own actions. And it's amazing how we're suddenly talking about philosophy when we're actually talking about hentai. What is going on right now? First of all, do you know how hard it is to make a hentai series? Unlike anime series, hentai actually takes a lot of time to make, and it takes even longer to be released. Now I can say a number of reasons why this is so, but I'm gonna have to stop here and move to the next one because I don't want to miss the 10-minute mark. Finally, let's look at the art style in hentai. Now you may think that hentai is only there to preview sex scenes. Well, anime also has those kinds of scenes, but they keep it to minimum because of regulations. One example of this is Yusuga no Sora. I've seen hentai that actually has artistic value. In Fault, we see the art style resembling that of Tony Taka's. There are also hentai which get their style from their designated companies like Poro and Collaboration Works. Also, unique series which are very artistic in my opinion. One good example is Unbalanced. It was similar to Monogatari and Mekakushidan in terms of animation design. This concept was very new during its time, so it was eye-widening for most people in more ways than one. Now you see that hentai isn't just fap material, but simply a medium of animation which expresses something that anime or manga cannot. In short, hentai is just anime with mature themes, not just sex. And now feel free to watch all the hentai you want. But what do you guys think? Is hentai just animated porn, or does it offer more than it shows? Leave your answers in the comments below! Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and also subscribe down there for more videos like this. As always, this is vanilla, not the flavor, but just the sweet. Oh, why did you have to die? You had so